Hey, it's Dee Schutz. Hope you're all doing well. We're back with another Boss in the Chair episode for you, and I'm sitting with the amazing Suandria Hall.
Aw, thank you.
So she has what I call works in the angel profession of helping us all every single day. So tell us a little bit about what you do.
Sure. I'm a therapist in the Denver metro area, although I'm also a coach, so I can see clients all over the world. I have 3 areas of focus. One is women's issues, everything to deal with us. I think we are amazing, and I'm a champion for women. Also, life transitions, meaning something traumatic has happened or something beautiful has happened, but our life has changed, and just helping people kind of move from what was to what is. And then finally, religious trauma, which is near and dear to my heart. I'm a preacher's kid and very familiar with how that can affect your life in both positive and negative ways, and I help people kind of deal with that.
Did you know I was a preacher's kid?
No.
That is so crazy. We have not talked about that. Yeah, so I knew I loved her, but now even more. Especially like the fact that someone is focused on that. That is, so we have to get into that a little bit, because that's so cool. Yeah, I didn't know that. And I feel like I know that I know that there's so much about who I am that is a part of that, the way I was raised.
And that happens all the time. No one's seeking that help, but when I say it, everyone always goes,
oh yeah, me.
Oh, uh-huh.
Wow, yeah. That is phenomenal. I didn't even know you could be focused on that. So that's so great. So let's talk a little bit about women, and I want to talk a little bit about work first, because I have this. I became an executive at a really young age and worked in systems that I always say weren't built for me. So I've had to go to work and really experience things that were really, really difficult, that I'm not sure that if I was a male or not a person of color, I would have had to experience. When you think about women and you think about women who work outside of the home, what do you think some of the traumas that we're dealing with, and I use that word very intentionally, in the workforce?
The first thing that comes to mind, at least, and it resonates with me specifically and a lot of women I work with, is our children. I had kids late in life. I have a daughter, and I had her at 41. And life changed dramatically. Yeah. I was used to doing my thing. I'm single, doing this. And all of a sudden, your heart just explodes, and you have to make room for this little person. And work doesn't care.
Yeah.
But you do. So it's learning to have your voice in this new space and being able to walk into those boardrooms, conferences, whatever it may be, and speak proudly, and to be able to hold space for your kid. And if I can't come to work today, or if I'm late today, to be able to say that and be confident in that, and still be able to do. Can I cuss?
Please.
Okay, I'm gonna cuss. So make sure I can.
Yeah, it's hysterical.
But to be able to do all the shit you need to do.
Yeah.
And still be respected in the workforce. That's probably the number one that I get.
I don't think people realize how difficult that is. I think for the first part of my career, because I'm the opposite. I had my son when I was 16, and I never told anyone. It was like a shame I carried.
What do you mean never told anyone?
At work. Like, they didn't know that I had a child. They knew I was young. So I became a CFO at 26, and that was the first time I ever had to, because it was like living inauthentically was hurting me so badly as a leader of other people, where I had to go in and say, like, hey, I have this thing, and I'm really defensive about being the youngest in the room, because I've been the youngest parent for the last 10 years of my life, and I have to start sharing this. And it was really scary to go in and share, like, that I was a teen mom and worried people would judge me. And then eventually it became the thing that made me great, I think, in business, but it took a journey. So what advice do you give women to start to feel comfortable to share?
I think you have to become comfortable with yourself first. And that includes any self-work that you need to do, having a really solid support system, a community of family, friends that are there to support you. Also, just knowing your craft, whatever it is whatever the industry is, knowing it well, so that you remove any excuses from anyone else that has something to say about, oh, she has a kid, maybe she can't do that. No. I show up every day. I do what I'm supposed to do. I'm on top of my shit.
Yeah.
I remove excuses.
Yeah.
You never stop working on yourself. It doesn't matter what age you are. That awareness to do that may come sometimes later in life, but I would imagine when you have a kid younger, you may grow up a little faster.
You do, yeah, really fast.
Yeah. So that would be that's where I would start, is really just that self-growth, that self-confidence.
Yeah.
And then you can navigate those spaces in a different way.
Do you see that people are seeking therapy and help and doing the self-growth work in just areas that seem like we're supposed to just manage, we're supposed to just balance, we're supposed to be moms and career women, and we're supposed to have it all figured out? And do you see that people are actually understanding that that's something that needs work as much as you would like?
No, I don't. So when I see a new client, I have an intake form that they complete, and usually whatever their presenting problem is, that's what they highlight.
Yeah.
But once we start doing the work, all this other stuff comes up. And, we think we have things all together, and maybe we do. We're doing the best we can, but something always comes to the surface that we weren't expecting, and you're learning something new about yourself every day. I'm the therapist, and in those moments, I'm learning about myself. So we're always growing. There's always an opportunity.
I always say that about career coaching. I encourage people to get mentors early in their life, just because when you're mentoring somebody else, the things that you learn about yourself, or how come it's so easy for me to coach that person to do this thing that I can't do myself. So I always learn more from probably coaching others. But I think the importance of having therapy and having an outlet for whatever it is I'm going through has been a very big part of being successful in my life, and as well as having coaches. And so how do you reduce the barrier or sort of this stigma that therapy carries in our society so that folks will come and understand that it's a part of who you are?
Yeah, I think these kinds of conversations are helpful. And I'm always talking about it. And it, honestly, you don't have to have a presenting problem. Nothing has to be wrong.
Right.
I always mention this. We go to see about our lady parts. When something's wrong, we just check in to make sure we're good.
Oh, that's so good.
We go to the dentist. All these things we do to take care of ourselves. But the mind, the heart, is what we negate. So it doesn't have to, be some traumatic event that has happened. Let's just check in. We do it with our friends. We do it with our families. Nothing wrong with seeing someone to go, hey, how am I doing? And I get that all the time. We're sitting with clients and they're like, nothing's really wrong. I'm like, okay, well, cool. Let's just talk about what is happening in life.
Right.
And sometimes we'll stumble into something and we find, oh, let's work through that. But sometimes we just want to check in. And it, like I said, nothing has to be wrong.
Right. Yeah. Sometimes it's maintenance, right?
It's maintenance. Absolutely.
Actually, I'm really doing well. I'm feeling happy. I'm feeling joyful. And I would love to sit and capture that with somebody to understand, hey, what am I doing differently than when I might be in a period that's more blue, or I suffer from anxiety. So when I'm going a long period of time without feeling that anxiousness, I always want to be like, okay, let me stop and pause on that.
Yeah.
Do you see a lot of anxiety in especially women? I really want to get it when it comes to women. Like, where do you think that the root of that is? So many of my friends say I suffer from anxiety.
Yeah. The root, that's a big question.
Different for all of us.
I just want to say it's different for every person, but with women, I think we carry so much. We're born to believe that we are to carry the world. Our children, our families, the men, women in our life, whatever you're, however you roll, it's our responsibility to make sure everyone else is okay. And that's a heavy load to bear. Yes. So it's really, unfortunately, often part of our makeup. Here's the thing with anxiety. We talk a lot about how problematic it is, but I like to switch it up a little bit and say, so your body's telling you that something's happening.
Yeah.
Your mind is saying you need to do something. Why can't we use that as a resource? A lot of times we resist it and pull away. Help me fix this anxiety, get this away from me. And I like to ask, well, what is it? What's happening? What are you feeling? What are you thinking about? What can we do to remedy that situation so that it's not your thoughts running away, but we can actually do something practical around it?
Right.
So it's more of I like to take a more empowering approach and not just keep this stuff away.
That is so powerful. When people say, how do you manage anxiety? I say, well, I don't fight it. And I definitely have learned to stop beating myself up for it when I'm in it. That was the worst. That's where it went from bad to like unmanageable or into a panic attack or something like that, is when I started to be like, why are you anxious? And stop and like get out of your head and trying to sort of force myself out of anxiety versus like, okay, sit. what's going on. Maybe just go lay down, or it's okay that you're anxious. Like,
Yep.
life's telling you something.
Yes. What is life calling for you to do right now? What is your body calling for you to do right now? I always say we come out of the box with certain things, with a variety of emotions. We come out of the box naturally with these inherent abilities to navigate life. But when we're kind of in a society that says everything has to be perfect all the time, we have to be happy all the time, we resist it. And these are natural things that can help us navigate these spaces in life. We don't have to resist it all. And I like what you said. I'm experiencing this, but what is this? Let's talk about it. I don't have to run away from it. Let's see what my body is saying. And trusting ourselves, trusting our bodies, trusting our minds. There's always an opportunity for the world, for society to tell us that we're not doing something well, or we're not doing something right. But we're individuals, and the way I handle it may not be the way you handle it.
Right.
But let's talk about it. Let's see how Suandria, this is how I roll. Here's what works for me. This does not work for me. But let's use it. I don't want to resist who I am and my natural resources on how I navigate life. How can I approach life from a place of power and not what life is doing me in?
Oh, I know exactly what you're saying. It's such incredible perspective, and I just know how many people need to hear that from you right now. If you're thinking about, sort of advice that you would give women above all else, because I think we do carry a lot, and I struggle with this so much, take care of everybody else, and I have lost myself so deeply in my career sometimes, in my marriage, which ended in divorce. Like, there's just, that's what I would say was the reason, is I got so resentful of carrying things and everything and doing everything and being everything. And then once I got divorced, I realized that the habits weren't gone. Like, I still am having a hard time breaking from do everything, be everything, take care of everyone, save everyone. What is your advice for us, even the littlest thing that we can do throughout the day to try to shift away from that you're not responsible for everybody else's happiness?
Don't.
I love that.
Like, bottom line, we're not responsible for everyone's happiness. We need to let people have their own personal responsibility. You own yours. I think to remember that we are a whole person. We need whatever we get from our children, whatever we get from our partners, whatever we get from work, our families, our friends. All of those parts are necessary for us to be like full, fruitful human beings, and we need to allow for that. And if that means the kids with grandma for a little bit, or partner, whatever the situation is, they'll be fine. They'll be there when you get back.
Yes.
We have to make space for our whole selves.
Yeah.
And it's easy to resent when something's not happening. Like I mentioned, 5 pieces, probably more depending on the person, but if something else is really important to us and we're not feeding it, of course we become resentful to our partners, to our children, or this job, whatever it is. But if we learn to live in more of a harmony and see what needs attention at that moment. Sometimes we talk about balance, and balance kind of asks us to quantify it.
Right.
This much time here, this much time here, this much time here. I like to say harmony. And to me, harmony means what's really, really happening. Sometimes maybe we think we've spent, enough time with the kid, but something's really going on. And
right.
only you know your kid.
Right.
So if the kid needs a little bit more, let's give the kid more in that space. Maybe it's you. Maybe you need something else, and we're not giving time for it. And we said, nope, you've had your spa day for the week. No, well, mama needs something else.
Yeah.
Like really answering. I'm a big proponent on trusting yourself, trusting your body. When I work with women, I remind them constantly that you are the master of your life.
Yeah.
The only thing anyone else can do is answer what you know about yourself. Tell me what you need, tell me what you don't need, but it starts with you. So I'm always reminding clients, you are the master of your life. What do you need? Answer it. It's okay. And everyone else will be there when you get back.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Is there a practice? Like, I'm a big journaler, so I do think I've been able to sort of think that way, even though I didn't know that's what I was doing. But I talk to myself. I spend a lot of time saying, what are you going through? What do you need? How did you overcome this today? What was hard today? How are you doing? But just sort of in a journal, in journal form. Are there other practices that you just think work really well for us to pause with ourselves?
I do like journaling. I do that as well. It's super helpful. I'm a big proponent of getting outdoors and exercising because of what the sunshine does for us. That vitamin D makes us feel better. Oxygen, all that makes us feel better. I also believe in challenging your thoughts. So when that anxiety comes in, or all of these roles, responsibilities that we have to play start to kind of weigh on us, start to look at that thought. What is it that I'm believing? Is it true? Is it valid? Is this something from my past? Is this something that mom and them said I need to be as a wife or mother or whatever it may be? Is this something that resonates true for me as an individual? Again, back to being honest with yourself.
Yeah.
So a lot of, challenging those thoughts, dissecting them, making sure that they're actually something that supports your personal values and not just something, these ought to shoulds from society or for family.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm going to take that. I'm like sitting with it already, like, oh yeah, that one I took from the way I was raised, or
right. And it doesn't even work.
And I don't even like it. Yeah, I don't even like it. Why am I doing that? That's not my tradition to own, right?
Exactly. You can create new ones.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's so powerful. So speaking of the way I was raised, tell me a little bit about what you're seeing when it comes to sort of folks that were raised in religion, or the work that you do around religion. And I just am so fascinated to hear what that means.
Oh my gosh, I could talk about this for hours. So I get a variety of clients around religious trauma. I may get the client that is saved, sanctified, filled, and they love their faith, but there's some questions that they have and they don't feel like they can ask them in a safe place. Maybe if they go to their pastors or their church circle, they feel like they're just going to tell me to pray or read my Bible, and I've done that part.
Yeah.
I just need to be able to talk about it in a space where I'm not going to be judged. I get that client. I also get the client that's like teetering. I think I believe, but I'm not sure, or maybe I was Christian, maybe I'm looking at Buddhism, like how do I navigate those spaces? I get that client. And then also get the client I was raised religious, went through some heavy shit, and I don't believe it at all.
Right.
So it really just depends on how they show up.
Right.
From my perspective, I'm not trying to recruit people to believe or not believe.
Yeah.
I'm there to hold space, to be safe for them to talk about things, to explore. If you're angry, talk about that. If you're questioning, what are those questions? Where do they come from? Encouraging them to seek, like for me, my foundational belief was Christianity won, and all of our answers came from the Bible.
Yeah.
And while that seems safe in my safe circle, navigating the world sometimes that just doesn't work.
Right.
You can't go to a board meeting and say, well, God said.
Yeah,
No.
right.
You need to learn some other skills in this world. So like just reading other books, hearing other thought, like letting something else in is transformative. So it's really a lot around education, again, holding space, making it safe for them, and encouraging them to explore when you feel like you can't in your personal, your home. Sometimes it's couples.
Yeah.
I get a couple where maybe the woman has left and the guy's still there and they have kids. How do we navigate that space? And one of the things that I like to share is, let's put religion to the side and just look at each other as human beings. What do you still care about? What's foundational? What are your values? And this is where we can reconnect. Because sometimes people think we can't be together anymore.
Because you're not in the religion and I am. Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like, do you believe in love?
Yeah.
What do you want for your kids? Good food, good education, safety, security. You want the same things that we've always wanted. But sometimes religion goes, you don't believe this, so we can't be together.
Right.
And it's just not true.
Wow. I think for me, it's about questioning the way the religion I was raised in wanted me to see other people, and whether I was supposed to, that what they're doing is wrong. If you're gay, then that's wrong, or if you're this, then that's wrong, or if you do this, then that's wrong. So since I was a kid, can tell you that I've struggled with, I don't see people that way. I think I'm the opposite, or it's like, oh, just that you're this beautiful human, so teach me about like how you see the world.
Right.
And so I always had that conflict in me. I've never been able to say, the rules work for me. And that causes conflict, because you can love your faith, and I can love the Bible and get so much from these verses that really build me as a woman. Right. And there's lots in there that's so good for me. And then I have a hard time not rejecting the whole religion because of the way, I was raised. And this isn't all religion. This isn't even all Christianity, right? This is just the way I was raised, was we see those things as wrong, and I never could, even as a child.
Me too.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just logically, I just couldn't do it.
Yeah, like what makes our way so perfect when there are billions of people with different ways of living? Why am I even feel like that's a heavy responsibility to
It was
carry.
too heavy. It was. That's what it was.
Uh-huh.
And it wasn't balanced, because I wasn't raised in this home where there was such harmony, and my parents are divorced now, but like this was not, I was being raised in an environment where I was like, this isn't right either, right? So you're like, this isn't perfect either. So well, who am I to say anything about anybody else, because this doesn't even feel like we are getting it right.
If your faith is giving you comfort and it's what encourages you to do life to the best of your ability, then great.
I love that.
But there's a truth that exists. I always like to say, there's a difference between truth and fact. Truth is, maybe the religion works for you, maybe it doesn't work for me. These are our truths, and that's okay.
Yeah.
But there's a fact, and the fact is gravity's real
for
all of us. So how do we distinguish between what's true for you, what's true for me, and then the facts, our foundation? Where can we go back to that brings us all together as human beings, regardless of what we believe? What are those facts? How do we get back to there? When that conflict comes, let's go back to the facts. What really, really matters as we as human beings navigate this life.
Right. Or the main fact, you're a human being and I'm a human being with lived experience.
Exactly.
Right? Let's start there. That's just a fact.
That's a fact.
I love that. I'm even going to say that when I have these conversations at Thanksgiving.
Exactly. With the holidays,
So leave us with a couple of things. I always talk about transition, and you said that when you're like life, even the transitions we choose, you need to give yourself time to grieve what was lost. And what advice do you have for folks around transition?
I always like to say there's a difference between change and transition. Change can happen relatively quickly, meaning, let's talk about divorce. I'm divorced too, so I know that story. And maybe it was a long time coming, but once the papers are signed, you're divorced, there's a change. Right? It happened. I am officially a single person. Transition is going from that that married person to the single person in every other way. When we take that ring off, how does that look within our families, in our friend circles? I remember dating for the first time afterwards. It's like, how's that conversation? Like, I'm single, I'm divorce minded, that I forget to be a woman and just be a person. So transition is all about, again, going from that major change has happened into what's new. And then having the courage to create something, to explore, to try new things, to have fun, to laugh again. Life changes for us all. We're all transitioning all the time. It could be work. You could be going from single to being married. That change is a huge transition. I think to summarize it would be to welcome it all. It's never going to stop. The only thing that's consistent is change. It's going to keep happening. Back to bringing it all in, those emotions, those feelings, what the body's saying, what the mind's saying, and what life is saying. This is where I am right now. Let me accept it, and then I can at least work from a place of truth. I love that. I work so hard to grow myself, and I think what I struggle with in transition is like, I worked so hard to become this person, and then you start to see, oh no, there's like, now I gotta, it wasn't exactly what you thought it was, or you're looking at yourself in a mirror a different way, and you're like, oh man, the work continues. And I think at moments of transition is when we have to be like, the work always continues. You don't arrive. You don't arrive anywhere. And even though I can say that logically, what I've learned through divorce is like, oh no, you thought you had arrived some places that you hadn't arrived, girl. It is. We're starting from a totally different perspective of who you are now because of this change, then also the transition. Wow, that's so powerful. And to talk to somebody, to find yourself a beautiful human like this and go and talk to them and not feel any shame to do it. Especially in transition, especially when you're fighting with yourself for whatever reason it is, and we do it all for all kinds of. So if what was working or what should have been working is no longer working, it's a good time to start seeking help and to figure out, maybe I've changed, I need something different. I'm not who I used to be. My situation has changed.
Yeah.
My person has changed. Now it's time to seek help.
So I just want everyone to hear that. This isn't about, oh, something's wrong with me. Oh, I'm bad. I'm this. I'm not mentally stable. All this stuff we tell ourselves. No, it's this simple. When something's not working the way you want it, or something's working so great and you can't figure out exactly what's driving that in your life, that's another amazing time to go find somebody to talk to, and you deserve it. Like, you deserve it. You deserve, you can't all have her, but you deserve a her in your life, and it's the best way to take care of yourself, is what I would say.
Yeah. I'm all about it.
Thank you so much for being here with us tonight. I think we're going to have you back.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. And until next time, Boss Tribe, this has been our Boss in the Chair.